Maybe I should always have the live stream stuff waiting for 1 hour while I lunch. Cheers. So in the previous enablement, you have seen me here on this M1 Max from which we live stream. And I said the performance was not amazing on Linux, which is also one reason why I kept using it in QEMU here. So this is obviously from macOS also for also hardware, graphic acceleration and stuff. And it turns out also Jens Axbo of Linux storage fame and stuff also now has an M1 Pro syscore performance, and so he finds the syscore performance lacking, similar to me, right? Previous video was not yet, and I said most likely not running on full CPU clock because CPU frequency scaling, right? This was obviously immediately obvious to me. And so all the Asahi people chimed in here, and here of Hector Martin, Macan 42, for example, also it's also not impossible. We are still missing some blatant performance knobs. Like not too long ago, they discovered they were not turning on the L3 caches because it's apparently a thing macOS has to do. That's fixed now, but there could be other things. And so this is, of course, a major thing, right? I was like previously, not yet amazing. But yeah, if the L3 caches are not enabled, and I would also call that, I mean, there are two things, right? On one thing, even my own microkernel dreams here of having no code duplication, this is, of course, it could be like that they keep in iBoot, like Apple, that they keep in their early boot stuff as little as possible, keep it as stupid and simple as possible, and have like all complex stuff like turning on a 3-bit in macOS because it's like one company, one code repository and stuff. However, one could also see it as, there's always like, it's not always black and white and like one solution. So one could also see this. I have to wonder if it's intentionally or just by pure chance and accident, also reoccurrently harming other OS development, right? Because now the Asahi Linux people were already for 1 year running Linux with degraded performance. This is like, I wonder if it's intentionally of let's obfuscate and do this stuff a little bit strange intentionally. It wouldn't surprise me. Because, yeah, you can boot Linux. I mean, first of all, providing no specifications, no documentations, leaving it all to the Linux and open source community to reverse engineer all this stuff. And yeah, and then like 1 year later, and then like, yeah, it's like support is subpar because graphics, sound, and so on. And then even L3 caches. So for me, I would, as an engineer, for me, it would be naturally and logically that hardware CPU features are enabled by the CPU or BIOS. This is a little bit strange. And then there's also another thing. So this is only one thing. And then, of course, CPU frequency scaling, right? This is, where was it here? The PCOS Sven Peter of also, funny, why is he also Sven Peter 42? What is the 42 business? Is it going back to the P3 days? And anyway, all of them are the answer to life. Anyway, the PCOS start at 2 gigahertz. This is exactly what I expected. And in our Discord, someone even said they started at 600 megahertz. Leave in the comments below. So what I did before this stream already is I was checking that. So Joey, PCB. 600 megahertz. So I wonder, so I said in the previous live stream I should benchmark that to find out specifically what frequency we are running at, to know whether it's like 600 megahertz or 2000. Let's see that commit of, oh wait a second, I wanted this is by hash, and then here, let's see what happens with this one. So your new module, so this is 18th of October. So this is CPU frequency. So that is not the Linux kernel, but the M1 Mini bootloader. And so I would think that is, so yeah, I saw that, and that is what I have been running. So I would expect, so I wonder though, what do they enable here by default? I find, I wish they would have more detailed commits, right? I mean, maybe I even need to work a little bit on our T2 commit things, but I would, do they have here more commits of oops. So yes, this is, as far as I see, sure, new module to initialize CPU P states, but like all the details are not in there. For example, what is the default? What do they initialize that here? So that is init cluster. So with cluster they mean CPU cluster. By the way, we also have here some old coffee. Maybe it would be more clever to drink the hot coffee first and leave the cold coffee. Old. See, configure cluster, dvm cluster name, dvmr cluster base, cluster config, val enable, desired, switching cluster to P state. So they, what do they run? Init, so they, so if it T8103, otherwise it's unsupported. So okay, so this would leave my, I think I have T6000, I think was the name of the M1s in the later generation, those larger clusters. I think they were. Let's check that. So we will update this in a second. So this is just document or like spreading the word. So first of all, the Asahi people make amazing progress. The community, like those stars here, need to reverse that all day and night. Also live on YouTube. And what it takes, right? So nothing comes here for free. And CPU frequency. Okay, here's preliminary. So this is 3 months ago. Preliminary T6000. I think this is what I just said. And if you wonder also, so this are those clusters, eCPU. So okay, efficiently CPU and performance. CPUs, I would guess 2120, 2121. Okay, E2. Yeah, I wonder what it takes for those to boost. So the thing is, it is, for me, from this code, unfortunately not immediate obvious which. So they init that with that cluster, they call this init with this pointer to this cluster T structure. But the question is what those magic values mean, and yeah, I wish they had documented whether this is 2 gigahertz or not. Initially, what do they have? IRQ routing, so AIC, so that is something we run already 2 months ago. So this is all the code. So I actually checked earlier, so the last commits were not like skip missing CPUs. Nah. So I didn't see anything. I scrolled here before the live stream already over. So a lot of maintenance, or like here, fix for macOS 12.1. What would that be? Apple decided to change the compatible to third Coast Guard and rely on a third version ADT. ADT is by the Apple device tree. In the meantime, I figured there are quite some things. I looked already some stray minutes at midnight here. So we have here difference between M1, M1 Max Pro. I promise that third version is already present. And let's just always decide based on that. Okay, so this is just like the usual. Apple is changing. I also slightly wonder why Apple keeps changing this stuff. I mean, they obviously created their own Apple device tree stuff, so why this still needs to change is a little bit beyond me. What is that here? Is it logic to initialize? Okay, they initialize now some HDMI display. Interesting. Compare stuff with and stuff. Because it's some hard-coded. Okay, some mode setting. So yeah, looks like you get then also some display on the M1 Mini. And yeah, stuff like console buffer. So I didn't see anything. Okay, there's also some ANS NVMe driver. They say stopped. Okay, they've init shutdown. So I wonder if that is working. That would of course be to load stuff from the NVMe. What do we have? Okay, this is actually, wait a second, did we, okay, we are now in last year already, so when was that? So this is January 16th, so that is, yeah, so this is new stuff we didn't run with yet. Yeah, so unfortunately, I wish that would be more clear what is the frequency, but this is just a reminder of how much stuff is still missing, like power management, like CPU frequency scaling. And so the performance would still not be perfect. So let's pull that into T2, M1, N1. And unfortunately with Linux kernel, cheers. Yeah, so yeah, pro tip, if you have like old coffee from the morning and new coffee, then drink the new coffee first, because now the new coffee is already not hotish anymore. With the Linux kernel, that is a little bit annoying. Wait a second. I also wanted to remove regex insert. What was it? I slightly wonder if we can build it without removing that. Let's see. So that revision. Wait a second, we could actually probably one auto update that, hopefully. And then let's see if the stuff still builds. And if you want to see more of the stuff, I will probably, will I? Yeah, I will probably invest into a Mac Mini as well, but I hope, but only if Apple updates Mac Mini this year. Which I know there are rumors that they might. We obviously need a second Mac, obviously can't scale a Mac business. So it brings in most of the money to finance the YouTube fund here. If you have only one Mac, remove, and insert, let's see if that builds, simplifying that. And yeah, only like with M2, not so, yeah, just as a win-win here of even more community and T2 Linux enablement and testing, and at least it's a little bit more energy efficient as well. So did this really build in? You're kidding me? Did this build in 3 seconds? I mean, sure, I'm epic thread ripping that, but it looks a little bit fast. Let's see. But hey, it's T2, so wouldn't surprise me if it's fast. So M1. Oh yeah, so, yeah. I mean, it's not the largest sizes. So wait a second. There's also there's also a new raw bin. So we have Mach-O and raw. Maybe we also need to install that. So I noticed already Mach-O. We also probably want to install the raw thing. So because Apple changed this, I think I mentioned this already. This is the kind of stuff where some Apple fans and fans of that say, yeah, but Apple supports this and stuff, where I would still argue not really, because what happened is the Asahi Linux people booted M1 and N1 Mini and Linux with the boot infrastructure of an Apple Mach-O binary, and so Apple broke that, or actually Apple changed that, and like obviously still boots macOS, but the change for Mac, also, why does Apple constantly need to change this, right? It was working before. Why does Apple with macOS 12.1 or so needs to change the bootloader early Mach-O stuff of why? It's hilarious. But some people even defend this, but because Apple added a raw booting, like raw binary of not Mach-O, and some people like, yeah, you see, Apple is actually supporting this. Like, yeah, but why did they have to break this, right? 1 year of reverse engineering and implementation, and Apple intentionally also broke this. But yeah, Apple firmware was like, no, Apple is still good here and supports this and stuff. It's like, yeah, whatever. Let's try this. Actually, pro tip. There could be typo, Unicode, white space or stuff. Like, yeah, you see. Mini raw, bin, maybe our raw is bin, raw is okay. You see, pro tip, really test this shit. I typed raw, of course, it's bin. So you have that. Of course, we test this again. Cheers. Then we also have Linux. So previously, because I have an M1 Max, we also, yes, this is 3D, but I can maybe click on this and see what's going on there. So previously I had to package this T, so where are we? No, 22 days ago. Because what we need is, we need the T6000 bring up. So the question is, 22 days ago. Okay, here is, so this is a little bit annoying thing. So I'm actually, for me, this Git stuff doesn't work the most amazing, because if you have like multiple things, theoretically there's also Wi-Fi stuff and so on, or mode setting. And so if you have like one Git tree, I would actually somewhat prefer this good old-fashioned patch sets, because you, in my opinion, you can easier combine this. How should I know? Combine here multiple Git trees of T6000 enablement plus other mode setting and Wi-Fi. Sure, you can always cherry pick, but for me not the biggest benefit over. But leave in the comments below, how do you actually combine multiple Git trees except manually extracting patches and cherry picking the stuff again. So I wonder, is here, by the way, so here's the bits. Do they have another? I mean, for me, it's also a little bit many. Oh, wait a second, here actually multiple. Why is here bits, and why do they have this twice? Well, have I been on this one? Okay, this is actually in a pretty old one. So thank you very much so much to that stuff. So this is exactly this kind of stuff that I don't appreciate the most. Let's see, those commits to 20. Is this at darts? So did they rebase that? And this is also all the recurring theme, right? All the boring maintenance stuff of actually hunting, and you have like Pine phone there, like Pine64, RISC-V, and you're like, it's like for each architecture zone. There's actually, fun fact, in a microkernel, multi-server microkernel, and with user-space drivers, you could actually, well, except this stuff is pretty low level and probably needs some kernel and hardware abstraction layer, interrupt routing and stuff support, but otherwise would also be cool if you had like one hardware abstraction microkernel and user-space drivers, and wouldn't need to have a dedicated kernel tree for each supported platform. So 22 days ago, so this looks newish. This, on a first glance, which looks like the latest tree, but yeah, somehow, leave in the comments below. Also, okay, let's copy that here. Is this copy push or no? Actually, if you commit, yeah. Copy and paste in this day and age. Oops. I really hate this modern stuff when they... Okay, fine, copy that one. Which kernel is that even? Let's see here. Tree. Am I on that one? Of course I'm not. Nothing like reselecting this a fifth time. So which kernel version are they now at? 2.5. Okay, they are now on 5.16.0. That is, I think, a little bit newer than they previously had. And as per usual with all the architectures, I mean, theoretically we have here so many architecture patches, like even for like ARM64 in a Linux distribution. That is a crazy thing of this monolithic Linux kernel tree stuff, right? So theoretically we would have even need more overlays of one overlay for Pine64, one overlay for Asahi Mac Linux. It's like, yeah, getting a little bit, in my opinion, yeah. Cardiologist says Disco 2, but you want the main Asahi? I want the main Asahi, do I? Align64 is the default. You're saying, or maybe I should have more Discord open. So you're saying all the T6000 enablement is also in the main Asahi Linux branch? Yes, indeed, the device tree T. I just saw it's a glimpse of, or did I not? Device tree bits. Let's see. T6000. Yeah, okay, we can also, where was it? At least the device tree is immediately obvious in Arch without checking all the platform support bits. But that is ARM64, then boot, I think, DTS and Apple. Apple. Okay, we have two T6000s here. So, okay, so far so good. Then thank you for that. I think back in the day I packaged that this only was in the T6000 bring up. Which kernel is that now? Is it 16? Okay, it's also 516. Okay, then let's use that hash. There was actually 4 something. So yeah, this is then a little bit, yeah, way newer. So that is probably one less C7B, yeah, one less. The checkout, of course, takes a bit. Oops. So we need to download this with a config for the overlay. That's the most of the stuff in bits branches are for merging into Asahi. Okay, thanks for that. So line 56. Let's maybe check that. So you probably meant this was probably in M1N1. You're saying 60 are here, 60, say 67. So line 62, P-core. You probably mean that one, right? So I have a T6000, but I mean, so these are the defaults, but you wouldn't see the clock on those, do you? Unless is this 2 gigahertz. Wouldn't necessarily expect that to magically happen to match to, but is it possible to derive the frequency here? So they have cluster name. So where do they have, is probably the name. Here the cluster, so name base. So that's, or is that decoding to a frequency? Oops, I was already. No, that's not a frequency. It's just based on some index. Yeah. So thanks for clarifying that. So you, as you are you a user actively using this stuff, or are you a developer also? And welcome everyone. And thanks for that. Hope you're all doing fine as well. Yes, that's what I expected. Just that. Yeah, I wonder if I run that already. Wait a second. I think this is, what was it, October? Last commit. So yeah, so I should have run with that. Okay, so if that is probably 2 gigahertz, so then what is their max frequency? Was it 3 point something? M1 max frequency minus typos. Okay. So then we leave a third of the performance on the table. So apparently there is some patch they said on Twitter. Maybe I should wait. I kind of probably need more displays. Using a bit of defaulting. Happy to hear that. Feel free to keep me updated with major stuff, because obviously we have so much to do that I can't follow each. Obviously I follow everything a little bit, but there's a limit of how much stuff I can put into following each vendor silicon development. So patches welcome. If you are a user or developer and there's some major stuff, feel free to point me to it or send me a patch to the latest update. And okay, we checked that out. Let's see if the remaining stuff still are error during checkout. Don't tell me we error during checkout. What? Don't tell me we are out of space. Maybe we are out of space. Thank you very much. I need to resize this scripted volume. So yeah, and welcome everyone. So if there is, can only be reached if some cores are idle. 3000 is the max of all cores online. Interesting stuff. So unless you maybe patch that, so the question is also, is it firmware controlled, or could we override this from Linux if, like YOLO, whatever, avoid your warranty and you have enough cooling, put it in the fridge? So they said, I don't see the patch instantly, so maybe this is on their Matrix IRC-like chat. If you have the patch at hand, that would be nice as well. So the question is, does it re-download that? Because it, probably nothing like 900 megabyte. Also, probably, hopefully, hello. Yeah, I wish this would be easier discoverable. It's always, yeah, also 2020 to 22 internet search doesn't find stuff anymore. They don't care what to say about the M1, the 2018 Intel Mac. Yeah, of course. So yeah, maybe they either. Why do I Google in source? That obviously doesn't do much good. Probably I randomly quickly click there. So maybe they want to play safe or on battery, not to use that much power. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't instantly find that. If you have this somewhere at hand, leave in the comments below. Maybe I need to 2020. What, 70 megabyte? Why is this freaking download so slow? Unsupported commands, thank you very much. Nothing to see. Don't go overstart, don't collect some $4,000. Some of this download also. What we could do in T2, by the way, also we have already starting to support Homebrew on other systems like macOS. But speaking about PS3, we could also actually support building Homebrew apps like toolchain, so further streamlining and generic supporting toolchain stuff, so that if you want the latest and greatest toolchain for your PS3 development, you could just use T2. So not the smartest thing to extract here. Stuff, while how much do we have free? Nothing. That was clever, huh, to extract this one. Yeah, we are known to being very clever here. Okay, this wasn't enough. Where do we have, where did it extract this stuff to? I think to install files. Interesting. Memory system bug detection. What the heck? I wonder if I find useful RSX documentation in there. Let's do this download again without filling. So yeah, that was not the most clever, and I obviously need to resize my crypted volume here. So yeah, I will commit this also when this builds in some minutes. Live on YouTube, always wasting your time filling your volume. But yeah, adding to what is missing: sound, video, decoding, encoding. Joy PCB will try to find this. This is amazing. Thanks for that, because the usual Google doesn't turn it up. I'm aware of their Asahi Linux community stuff, but somehow these days everyone uses another. I think they use Matrix, right? There was community Matrix, so maybe you could find something here somewhere, like on. Yeah, some of this was something. Matrix client. Yeah, all I wanted was. Anyway, so probably you could find it here, I guess. But yeah, this is of course takes even more time to read and follow all the stuff. Hey, 1 gigabyte is this time faster for some reason. Yeah, 6.6 gigabyte free. Yep. So let's wait a moment for that. Yeah, I'll also Git cloning with all the history. It takes a while. Yeah, but what do you think? Is stuff like not enabling the L3 cache, is it a reasonable thing, or is it Apple? Is it clever engineering, or is it Apple preventing other OS homebrew, or like at least not preventing, but harming, or not? Can't call the support, right? good luck reverse engineering. Good luck reverse engineering. Our stuff is not really supporting that, right? Yeah, 3.3 gigabyte. Yeah, that's like, yeah. I wonder, is there some Git export without history that is more efficient? Git clone without history or stuff? Is there something like that? ISDev, you can limit the depths of history, cloning depths. Shallow, cool, maybe we should do that by default in T2. Like, what is it? Depths 1 or what? Number of revisions. Interesting. I should actually check how much more efficient that is. Because it's a little bit much. Let's git clone recursive devs 1. And should we, maybe we could options. Let's maybe test this with M1N1 while we have 4 or 5 gigabyte. Nah. But this is a win-win, right? You would wonder, why do I mean, first of all, I have this silicon, right? People want to see it. Some people are fans and in love with Apple Silicon. And then, of course, we need to support it. It's not like Microsoft not wanting to support it. But then also like testing our stuff and finding new improvements. Speaking of finding new improvements, now it was just hanging RM download M1N1. Let's try if this works. M1N1 devs1 does something. Git clone. Why is here no devs1? Okay, this is still... I mean, the only thing is, does this... I wonder if this, maybe this doesn't always work. I mean, usually we want to, it obviously doesn't work if we want to, it's a little bit annoying because how does it work with, how would it know? I mean, it's from head, but history truncate to the specified number of versions and use this if you want to limit history, but still. So I wonder how this works with branches, because the diff is only relevant with cloning. After that, the history is what it is. It sounds like you want to regularly clean history. Here's branch. Okay, git clone devs1, but then this actually doesn't. This is actually not as easy as, because if you check this out in the future, this is it. You would need to specify the commit. Okay, this is actually pointless. It doesn't work like that, because imagine you, like, even if we would as a fail, like if you check this out next week, there might already be 100 commits. Even if we put some artificial 100, if you check it in like 2 months, there might be 1,000 commits actually. So much too, yeah, it doesn't work like that. So now at something A4 something Device 3 bits. I think this looks fine. Also want to test build that. So yeah, as far as I see, there is no easy limiting that. Unfortunately, this was a little bit as usual. Sounds good in theory, but doesn't work in practice. You would need some git clone devs1 with already that particular commit specified. Like basically you would need git clone recursive devs to that commit hash, but yeah. Okay, this of course fails, because why shouldn't it? So this is relatively recent. This is usually we can simply commit, copy that from not PowerPC, ARM for package Linux to, it's probably configs, right? I should have checked that. Serve T2 clean build. It's smelling a little bit here. They paint the facade and it smells like some fresh air and with last. Yeah, the last 2 days I didn't live stream because I couldn't work much and headache, because man was it smelling paint here. It's crazy that 2022 paint still smells like that. Build ARM64. Oops. So yeah, 12 configs. So we simply should be able to copy that copy or merge. Does already exist. Yeah, thank you much. We could delete that, but that is a little bit near. Wait, why does this not? This is strange. Why would that not? What? Why is always some shit happening? What? Why does this apply for our main Linux kernel? Did the Asahi Linux people tweak that or what? Or wait a second, maybe we checked out some wrong. No, 5.16, this is a little bit bizarre though. Where did it fail? Linux. It failed for that one. Wait a second, failed, not failed multiple. Oops. Yeah, it's okay, it's already partially applied, of course. Anthony asks, brought a 5950X for coding. What graphic card do you suggest? It always depends which operating system and what you need to do. For in general, I only suggest AMD due to open source driver and stuff. And otherwise, well, I could, at least as long as it has a digital output, I could also work with any old vintage thing. In my opinion, only depends how much 3D stuff you want to do. And then select from the available AMD range. Let's diff that to org Linux. Why is this R? Do we apply this somehow twice? What the heck? Oops. What's going on here? This is somewhat bizarre. Why is this happening? Yeah, with NVIDIA you have this binary only driver stuff and otherwise not really full-featured Novo and so on, right? Otherwise, for budget coding, if you don't need the most high-performance stuff, then of course some APU with integrated graphics, then you can even in the future like work for a year or something, and if you later need more, then swap that for more powerful Ryzen or external graphic, dedicated graphic. So yeah, what's going on here? That is really, how is that even? Three-state mod, yes. What have they done there? Wait a second. This is already mod, yes. Why did they? So this is bizarre. Maybe we should check that. Older M1 might work on. There is something git clone devs one. Ah yes, thanks. But yeah, so devs one I found already. But okay, you say that here. But devs doesn't work for me. So you say here true. Ah, this is index here. Interesting. Okay, so then something of that maybe did. Yeah, apparently. Let's post that here. Yeah, thanks for that. I would need to benchmark and measure that then. If it's the same index, and do we? Oops, wrong focus. I hate when we have the wrong focus. And where did we had that? N1, where are we here? N1 tree source. Yeah, I wonder if these are the best defaults. So currently these are mostly developers and they would probably usually want the most performance or something. Okay, so we have here true 7 and wait, was this where I wanted to? Yeah, true 7 to true 15, whatever the true is, but what would it be? Bool DVMR. Hello. Enable cluster config. Yeah, you would need to know what that stands for, whatever that does. So just adding there some numbers, yeah. Unless they explain that. But yeah, you see how much time this even takes, even for some 20-year-old Linux experience. I mean, there is no experience that substitutes gathering here all this stuff. So what has someone done to this config? That is also somewhat bizarre. Don't tell me the Asahi people have... where was it? In scripts, kconfig. Kconfig confc. Motto, no, disable module options. Motto, yes, motto, no. So apparently, this is motto, no config. So it looks like they applied this over even the latest when converting module kernel to a monolithic kernel. Once the kernel works without loading any modules, this helps to quickly disable all the modules before turning off module support entirely. That is... how often should I read if that? This is so hilarious. Oh man, this is disappointing. Mod to yes, yes to mod. Oh man. Cheers. How long do we stream? Probably long enough. Hey, 1 hour. Yeah, let's try to keep it below 1 hour so that people actually watch this stuff. And let's last. Try to read of that. How many failed? Let's. This is probably that failed. So yeah, no to what do we want? We want no to mod config. So mod to no config. Can never have too many of those quirks here. And then how many are here? It's not too many, this is just this one, hopefully, if we're lucky. Conf read of ignore this core dump. So which line was that stuff in? Hello, docs is okay. Line 833. Is it here? Conf read. Where's conf read simple? Here probably mod to no config here needs to go in. Then we at least have potentially rediff this already for the next major kernel. It's the usual win-win. So we need, so conf c, that was here, we gradually merge that manually, where, so that would be that, only where it failed, like here. And then here. Because we need to merge it with the stuff that applied. We could use other means, but this also, wait a second, this was wrong. But what, okay, let's delete that here. And let's, just for the perfection of it, let's update this header. So it has the new date and let's hope that still works. Yeah, recurring thing here, we love to shoot ourselves into the foot with hand editing patches. So let's report some spin. More fails, nothing like more stuff failing. What's failing now? Why is this still failing? Did we not just patch that? I wonder a little bit how it made that way into the tree though. Why? What have we done there that... This is bizarre. What? Failed it? Oh, wait a second. Did we somehow... Oh darn, did I so much shooting ourselves into the foot with manually updating patches wrong? What? Why is this just adding that there? What have I done there? Or does this fail? Maybe this fails there? No, both fail. Why? What? Looks like it applied, so what have I done there? What? What the heck is going on here? Yeah. Do you want to tell me they have a no to mod config? Not yes, not so. No, they don't. What have I done there? I hate when stuff not to no config. What is going on here? I really hate when trivial stuff like that is going wrong. Ah, wait, I didn't merge that correctly apparently. What have I done here? Somehow handed it wrong because it clearly doesn't really explain. Let's do that again. So this time we do that better. Yeah, that is a danger of manually adding this stuff. Usually it works, but sometimes we mess up. So, all right, maybe did we miss? I think we missed something up already. Ah, fuck. Live only on this channel. Someone, I don't know, someone getting too old. Okay, let's not try to do it pretty. Let's just get the most important stuff in there. This is this one. Maybe I should write some wrapper helper to better deal with it. So, but now that must be right. Now let's, not sure if with a better editor this would happen less. So is this now right? So that is a header, that is the new mod to no config, node to mod config, and file name is at last. Hopefully, let's see how many other patches fail. Yeah, the reason we unfortunately probably need another Mac is making this early bootloader stuff. As seen in Mark Hahn's videos, without this special early USB debug and stuff, it is no fun. It's certainly totally unworkable to have an edit compile cycle of 15 minutes of manually reinstalling the bootloader and stuff. Okay, this works now. Well, works and works, at least it. The question is, we could check, the question is if it configures all the node to mod config stuff still correctly. We should double check that in, otherwise we might, why is this? Ah, this is the wrong one. Wait, what? Ah, it's also the wrong tree. For diffing this k configs, and the diff should be relatively small. if there is, yeah, 220 now, so this is between 516 release candidate and 516.0, and if that would be too wrong, too broken, then then if our null to mod config wouldn't work, our patch that we just rebased, then like everything, like nearly everything in lots this view. So this view is just between 16 RC0 and 16.0 final. It's most likely only, so yeah, I've seen this before. If our patch would be completely not working, then this would be mostly not enabled modules, but this is only a handful of sprinkled in new stuff, and it looks good. So that should only be, and the win-win is we probably could copy that patch over team to the next major update. ARM64. So you have that if you want to play along at home with UT2 on Apple Silicon M1 Pro and Max. That's it for the video. A little bit, yeah, as usual, wasting a couple of minutes with some patch. Yeah, I'm somewhat tempted to test the CPU frequency stuff, but I don't want to waste like 30 or 60 minutes without this USB-C serial dongle cable or Apple Silicon direct one-to-one connection there. I wonder if it's actually cheap. Well, it's certainly cheaper to get an Arduino and stuff with, I think it was it 1.8 volt signaling, so you would need a very special Snowflake 1.8 or so volt TTL serial dongle, and yeah, probably, yeah, I mean it's obviously cheaper, but I don't really want to mess with that now as well. Well, maybe we could and should, but yeah. Anyway, the other pro tip, the other pro thing or win-win is, of course, well, except spending money and giving Apple our hard-earned money, having not only for testing a second Mac for other people, testing Apple Silicon in our company, but also that having an Apple Silicon Mac working while you YOLO bootloader stuff on the other one. So yeah, there we have it. Committed that already. So I hope you enjoyed this and learned something and have this stuff ready to play along at home, either on your Apple Silicon or PS3. 2 GHz, okay, PCB says 2 GHz was chosen as a reasonable default since there is no CPU driver. It's yet better to have the course going, not to have the course going full out. Yeah, understand that, but shouldn't the cooling handle that? Should they not? I mean, even if you, I mean, they should not run that hot, I would think, right? Because they would still be in a halted idle state often, I would think. And but yeah, I mean, I think I said like a safety not to overheat and stuff, but PCB says normal USB-A cable. Okay, it works with a normal USB-C to USB-A cable. I thought that they mentioned you need a special USB. That is new to me, or does it only work with a Raspberry Pi? They had mentioned there on somewhere was it? It was documentation somewhere. Here docs, probably. Oh no, it's not really what I wanted. The thing is with Discord comments, I don't have that open here. Should I have that? Maybe I should have that open differently somehow in the background. The problem is with Discord comments, I don't watch them all the time, so probably I should somehow. So it's a little bit funny that you can't have overlapped windows for some reason, at least not between high DPI screens on macOS. It is a little bit strange. So this common setup also doesn't help me the most. Yeah, I don't have that much screen real estate here on my portable home setup, which makes this, at least that is somewhat, it's not in highest resolution aging sun display that someone donated, a viewer donated. Amazing stuff, thanks for that. It's 21-inch Sun LCD. Hardware docs, where was getting started? I thought they mentioned you need a special where was it? That one? No, this is some garbage. Thank you very much. I hate this. Darn, where was it? It was the case. Okay, then I missed that. Thanks for that. Interesting though, but does it work with, do you need to have M1 N1 installed once for that? So is it like an M1 N1 feature? Because I think to access can you access everything? I would think not. I thought the very early Apple boot stuff, like 1 TRS or so, was probably with this debug signaling, I thought. Yes, quick start, probably that. Go fuck yourself with this bullshit. Oh cool, this guy is largely obsolete. So I mean, that is the thing, right? I really hate this. I mean, sure, I'm not doing the very best or T2 documentation, but I mean, this is a relatively major and Patreon, like sure, we are also a little bit Patreon sponsored, which you can go there and Patreon and GitHub sponsor and stuff. But having guides that are largely obsolete and only like other veteran Linux developers only realize because their YouTube audience tells them, hey, this is obsolete. It's like, yeah, can you like not like update it somewhere? Like having developer quick starts that start with a largely obsolete is somehow not the best practice, to be honest. More typically, you want to have work with kernel, just experiment with the platform, doing tethered booting via USB, uploading, have a look over, and you are happy doing tethered boot via USB. Quick Start 2.0, hardware requirements, at least a machine of any architecture running GNU Linux. Okay, but this you need to have M1 N1 installed once, right? Is that so? That only so as I guessed, that probably yeah. And then you had me at Python. I mean, in the meantime, I mean, I always it's an M1 N1 feature. Okay, so I see. So if you want, so I mean, tweaking the CPU frequency stuff, I would probably still need 1.2 or so. Let's, by the way, fact check that. Well, do they have this? 1.8 actually. 1.2 compatible. 1.2. So I think I said this correct. Facts checked. Up to 1.8 maybe, if you're lucky. Your mileage may vary. So I would probably still need to get this. I mean, and the irony is, I always thought I'm just too stupid to maintain my Python tool chains and stuff, which somehow, like 15 years ago, it was okay. Somehow over 15 years, in my opinion, this Python tool chain and dependency and stuff, virtual and stuff, degraded somehow also into chaos, in my opinion. And ironically, I thought it's like our small little Linux distribution of, we just don't put as much resources as into Rust and Cargo into this Python virtual and stuff. But in the meantime, I realized that on Twitter and stuff, people like normal, not like crazy ones like us, but more normal or differently crazy developers also complain about this on major distributions, right? Or maybe even macOS, if not to say Windows, but definitely other Linux distributions. Like, it's not only us like, oh yeah, YOLO, whatever, this incompatible Python stuff, but yeah, 2022, other more normal, hopefully, potentially, maybe more normal people on Twitter's like, yeah, Python memes because, yeah. Anyway, because I only say this because here's like, you need Python serial of, it's like, yeah, you need Python serial, and it's like, yeah, thank you very much. Anyway, so yeah, this Asahi Linux fun continues. We will, of course, keep monitoring that. And boot the Apple Silicon machine to one TR. As you did, first installing by holding power button and select option, authenticate yourself. Straight into Linux. You will not be able to enable PC Express via this method if your device has an M1, not Pro or not Mac. So it is highly recommended that you follow the guide in U-boot for untethered booting, as U-boot brings up PCI. Oh, what a mess. Stein says Asahi Linux YouTube, isn't he using some UART boot code? So this is what I meant. A second, probably, I guess he's using a second Mac, if not Arduino or stuff. Carlologist says changing the CPU frequency feature can be done over USB 2. Yeah, but I meant like, I meant like not once doing that with Python test code, but I meant testing a modified M1N1, right? I meant, so can you load another modified M1N1 over this? I mean, you have M1, you have Mini running. I meant to test modified M1N1, so inside the M1 connect Apple Silicon machine debug port, machine port should be created by the Linux logo. To boot your kernel, these commands as root, alicon, debug, boot args, chain load M1N1. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Fair enough. That certainly helps. So yeah, I think this developer 2.0 stuff wasn't there the last time I tried. So yeah, so that became, so we learned something new thanks to the amazing community here. Learned something new. There is now a little bit easier developer quick start 2.0. And that is certainly amazing. We will continue with that. Of course, I will keep running T2 Linux in QEMU here for the graphic acceleration, for video encoding and stuff. So I figured that. Thank you. I figured that you, Joey. How to even pronounce it? Is it Joey PCB? Yeah. I figured so much. Thank you very much. Do we have Discord? Yeah, actually, I have no tiny Discord windows. I didn't even look into that because there are too many windows. So yeah, this stuff is updated in T2. The kconfig stuff that probably trickles into vanilla mainline soon as well, also done. I mean, of course, not the biggest work, but each stuff counts. And yeah, the crazy stuff is the time required to keep testing all the stuff, right? Testing, the more testing. I still have to fix the EFI grub bootloading, shell scripting glue on my to-do. And even the P3 here, and even for the P3 stuff, I auctioned for way too much money the next P3 stuff, because you can never have too many debug tools, obviously. So you probably want to share, like, and subscribe for even more, obviously, right? That is still on my desk, and way too much more stuff is coming. And even that needs to be tested. Yes, but the recurring thought here is also that this stuff is way too incompatible, right? What do we really need? I said this before, I really wish there would have been 20 years ago some similar to Sound Blaster, which of course wasn't a standard, but imagine how the world would be like similar to high-end SGI stuff like the vPro, that is Odyssey, and is it Odyssey, right? The other was Impact, Grass Impact, right? So I think this probably was internally Odyssey. vPro, that was GL on chip, basically sending GL commands relatively directly. And of course we developed further. And yeah, I wish there would be like more Vulkan on a chip, like with some portable API, because somehow the amount of incompatible graphic sound and even sound, right? Previously, the Macs used somewhat standard components, but everything, especially at Apple, but even other embedded phone silicon, think overseas there, other design houses, Samsung and stuff, or all winner, and everyone in the kitchen sink needs their own proprietary hardware interface and that stuff. I really wish there were like at least some major standards, like it was in the DOS times of, not to say that the DOS times were amazing, but at least you had sound cards where they cloned this somewhat copycatting that. Similar, but think where it does work is USB, HID, human interface devices, USB. Imagine you would for each USB storage thing an own driver, right? This is insane. For the most part, we have some USB and Bluetooth human interface device stuff, or USB storage, at least for the most part, except some quirks. Or imagine for each headset, right? For each headset, you would need your own drivers. This is, of course, all crazy, but somehow these... I mean, the thing is, of course, we have mostly Windows and Mac OS, and they do what they want. And the open source community has only the last light at the end of the tunnel. Not that much to say, but we only got here because on Windows and Mac they can YOLO with drivers whatever they want, especially the major companies having their own silicon there, like Apple. And that is rather sad, right? I would mostly say this is a vast waste of human resources, of all this incompatible stuff, all the human lifetime spent on developing and reverse engineering this incompatible mess that this big companies created. Anyway, just some closing thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this, learned something. And if you want to try this stuff out, right, there is RT2 website. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, and I hope to see you soon for the next videos and live streams to come.